make sure that our audio and video are both working fine, and you can see me and hear me clearly. And so I'm just going to poke at the chat window to make sure that the tech is working fine, that our AV is fine, and audio is fine. Got state-of-the-art systems, but state-of-the-art systems frequently talk of oops. There's volume coming off somewhere here. Just going to go. Sorry, there was something else that was playing on our dummy screen had volume, so I had to remove that. Good evening BJ, good evening Nandini Dua. So please first sign off and say that you can see me and hear me clearly. So you can hear and see very well. The outline for the day, we're going to do tech check first of all. Then we're going to answer a bunch of questions that people have been kind enough to post and get them ready. Good evening, Kishan Kumar. Good evening, Believer. When all of you are saying good evening, I'm hoping this means that you can all see me in here. My voice is a bit low. This mic is ridiculously powerful. So I'm too surprised you're saying voice is a bit low. I will see if I can make it even better, bring it closer. Lovely. So I'm going to plan for the day. Maybe we'll do a 1 hour session, give or take. We'll do about half an hour, 40 minutes of bunch of questions that have already been handed over to us. People have commented and joined and filled in forms to send these questions across. Pranav has taken some effort to make sure that these are the most relevant questions and the most frequently asked questions. So this should solve most of the regular doubts. We'll finish that off. And then once we're done with it, we'll take questions from the chat. And I'm going to start things off. And then Jatin is going to join me in say 10-15 minutes. So, lovely. Good evening. Oh, perfect. Lovely. Before we go further, the fabulous offline offer, of course, CAT 2023 is probably too close to start now. But hey, you can jump onto our revision course or self-paced course and have a crack at it. So those of you who are thinking about CAT 2024, lovely time to start, no better time than now to start for that. This fabulous offer running right now, so do check that out. Go on online.com or ping us on this number 9445938484. We're very happy to help. Whether you buy the course or not, our guys are super good at saying, hey, we'll help you out in outlining this preparation plan, knowing what CAT is about, understanding what are the different elements of preparation, all of that. Right? So super useful to just have a chat with people. Lovely. So I'm going to go and have a crack at a bunch of questions, answer them, and then hand over to Jatin. And then together we're going to answer the remaining set of questions. There are quite a few here. I would want to go up to 35-minute mark with that. And then we'll freewheel and have a chat for about half an hour. That's the plan. Lovely. So hold on to your questions for a little bit, at least for half an hour. And then we'll definitely try to do a bunch of questions from chat. But till that point of time, hang on. Lovely. How much gap should there be before taking another mock? How long should it take to analyze a mock? What should be the key things to look for analyzing each section? Right, so, for me, at least when I take a mock, it takes me more than a day to recover. So if I take a mock today, I can't do another mock even tomorrow. So the earliest I can do is day after. So for me, I need a mock every 2 days is the maximum I can go to. And when I do that, my performance starts dipping. So 3 per week is the maximum speed that you should aim for. 2 per week, 2.5 per week is a worthwhile run rate to go with. And so don't do back-to-back mocks. Don't do a mock every day. That means it becomes mechanical. You're not throwing everything into it. You're not getting tired. You're not throwing every ounce of energy into the mock, and you should really do that. And so, how long should it take to analyze a mock? Minimum is the amount of time it took you to analyze the mock, to take the mock. So minimum 2 hours. Right? Typically, analysis has multiple components to it. We'll cover that in great depth in the further analysis questions. One is what happened to my question selection. So elements of question selection, super important. Then element of learning. I don't know this funda, let me fill that gap. Then comes the element of thinking about cutoffs and what is the strategy and what should I go for, where did I get tired, where did I make my errors, that kind of stuff. And so when you do more and more mocks, your sense about, okay, this decision was wrong, that decision was wrong, I should not have tried this question, this LRDI just killed me, that gets better and better immediately. You'll finish the mock and you'll know, messed up in LRDI, chose a really good passage. These two questions in Quant I shouldn't have touched. You'll know that in like 10-15 minutes. And then you can validate that decision when you see the analysis part. Then learning gaps, you fill them in, you write them which questions, which funda you want to revisit, go and revisit that. That happened really quickly. So if you've taken 15, 18, 20 mock, then you can analyze a mock within 2-3 hours. In the initial phases, it probably takes 5, 6, 7 hours to take value from the different moving parts of taking a mock. Spend that time. Worth it. Totally worth it. Don't get tired out. Don't switch off before seeing it. Right, so, what should be the key things to look for while analyzing each section? First funda, the most important takeaway, you ask me, is decision making. Did I attempt the right questions? More importantly, did I skip the stinkers? And the decision making is asymmetric here. Point I've been boring people to death at this point for years now. And so, very simple idea. You take a question that is right in your alley and then you miss it, that hurts. You take a question that you should not have attempted and you attempt, that hurts. The second mistake can kill your paper. The first mistake you probably won't even notice. Easy question that you skip does not kill you. Tough question that you get stuck into, that buries you. There are two types of errors. Wrong question that you end up attempting, juicy question that you attempt skipping. Wrong question you attempt, one, it's a wrong question. It costs you time, it costs you energy, it costs you feel good. Super important factor. That idea of feel good, oh, this is going well, I can attack this, that. And all three are huge. Right? Whereas an easy question that you skip, you probably don't even realize that what you have skipped is an easy question. So, what is the takeaway from here? Err on the side of leaving. Slightest doubt, leave the question. A freebie that you miss, doesn't matter. A real stinker that you get caught in can bury your score. Err on the side of leaving. Super important. And so, analyzing mock, the first thing is decision making. What question should I select? What question should I skip? Skip away to glory. Orient around leaving question. Feel happy when you're leaving question. Condition your mind to smile when you're leaving question. Oh, I didn't get stuck in that one. I'm very happy. Right? That's super important. Second part of analyzing mock is to fill learning gaps. Decision making gaps. Decision making becoming better. Learning gap. So I should have got this question right. I know I have to plug that theorem that is right here, but it didn't come to me. So what is that theorem? That is tangent secant theorem. Okay, I missed that. What is tangent secant theorem? What is its proof? Okay, I'll have to write down somewhere that I cannot afford to forget tangent secant theorem. So fill the learning gap. Did I miss this funda? Did I not get the right assumption? Did I read too fast? Did I forget that one nugget that has been drilled into me many times over? So learning gap. What mistake did I make in that? That's important. This is where I think Jatin's hierarchy of reviewing stuff that you got wrong, stuff that you skipped, stuff that you got right, in that order. So stuff that you got wrong fills your learning gap, point speaks to your learning gap straight away. Stuff that you skipped, especially you just skipped, that is, oh, I just know this but I didn't get it right, that. Then stuff that you got right to see if there are better methods, juicier methods. So that is a learning gap that you fill. Then comes the strategy funda. Look, I've got 48 in this. I think I could have taken my score up to 64. What is my route to get to 75? How can I visualize a score of 75 in a paper just like this? What are the improvements I need to make? Am I making fatigue errors? Am I making mistakes because I'm getting tired? Am I suddenly reading too fast or too slow? Are my old bad habits creeping back in? That kind of stuff. That's the third layer of analyzing a mock. And so all important, which is why I'm saying spend time. Spend time. You get a better understanding of what your plan is, what your strategy is when you analyze mocks. Sorry, it took too long. The first question.
And the analysis that you just spoke about, I'll post it in the comments later. So you get it.
Lovely. And the analysis framework, we'll post it in comments. My scores and quants have dropped in the last 2-3 mocks. This I'm hearing this so many times. This happens. Your improvement is never going to be a straight line. It is never going to be without setbacks. It's going to be there, and keep that in mind. I feel like I don't remember the concepts and tricks, though I've done it before. At this stage, how to revise one, remember that it happens to everybody. Very often when the pressure comes in, you've trained your mind to look for errors and look for mistakes and plan to grab this and be very switched on and all of that. The more you do that, there is a chance that your instinct deserts you. And so if you've noticed in cricket or football, they'll say that this guy has been coached out of his quality. As in they've overcoached him. And so there is some instinct that is there, and then coaching adds method to that madness. Sometimes when method gets added, the madness disappears, or your instinct kind of deserts you. You had that method, you looked at it, you got the exact funda, you plugged it in, you got the answer, you were looking for, you intuitively got the main idea in the passage. And then we all tell you, look for this word, central theme, don't miss this. Then you're thinking about all this, or your intuitive central idea, of course, takes a backseat. It can happen. And so, and when that happens, you're consciously processing everything. You become jittery. And one of our guys said, sir, I was sitting in a mock and I simply couldn't do 10 minus 3. That's like an extreme version, it's a deep freeze. Right? So it can happen, it does happen. That means that the elements of all these inputs coming could be playing a role. Multiple ways to handle it. One is to say, look, I need to pick my instinct back. Get that, you have to tell yourself that this is happening. And say, look, I'm gonna shoot from the hip, have fun with the mock. Screw my analysis, this doesn't count. And so this mock doesn't count, I'm gonna freewheel, have some fun. I enjoyed learning this funda, I'm gonna bring that back. That's something that really helps, that works for me. Apparently chess players do this. Chess players who are serious and trying to improve their rating, they're on chess.com, and then they want to improve their ratings, then they usually have another website or another account. When they know that they're getting lulled and falling into patterns and every game matters for their rating, they're not having fun, they switch off this account, go slog there, have fun for 3 days, and then come back into this account. But the freshness brings back the instinct, and then it falls into it. Another thing that really helps me, once again, is to take a clean break, 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. I'm there, I'm prepared, I know what I'm doing, I have a decent chance. But I'm living and breathing this so much that all these inputs are there, they're acting all the time. My mind needs time to consolidate this and put it into place. It could very well be that case. I've had several students who say, look, my mocks plateaued, I just gave up for 3 days and then took one mock, my scores, suddenly it's like my mind had cracked something and it works. It could work. Take a clean break and then come back. That really helps. How to revise Quant? Several ideas are there. What you have to understand whether it's a funda gap that you're having or a speed gap. The speed gap, take advanced tests. Take test. You know the funda, you're doing those things more mechanically, more automatically, that will help. If it's a funda gap, go and revisit that funda using theory and see if you can reinforce it from first principles. Super important. Sometimes it so happens that you don't have you tend to overlook some idea consistently. Right? Then writing it down and bring it back helps. So if you're discussing, suppose you missed one funda and speed time distance, you should say, look, I'm going to look at speed time distance. And say speed time distance, I worry about basic ideas, units, relative speed, average speed, boat and stream, train and platform, 2 trains crossing each other, races, circular races, geometry and perpendicular distances. Okay, this is a set of things that are there in speed time distance. I have a rough handle on this. Typically what I tend to forget, I miss out on units, I forget my kilometers per hour, meters per second. I need to write it down, I need to be switched on about it. So consolidate like that. And say, these are type of questions, this is a mistake I make. I used to have I was discussing this with one of our students. For me, I used to consistently not remember similar triangles. So all similar triangles questions, not only would I miss, I would be trying them with some other method. The idea that similar triangle is the funda that gets plugged in here wouldn't occur to me in the exam. So I had to, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm completely forgetting similar triangles as a placeholder, as a concept funda. So I had to bring it back in. So something like that, where you crack one thing and then say, look, this improvement I'm making. Effective way to revise Quant could be that. You could have a nice laundry list of things that I tend to forget in each funda, units, cancelling 0 on both sides, forgetting x plus 1 by x is greater than or equal to 2 or less than or equal to minus 2, not completing a square and carving something out, forgetting the completion of squares method, not keeping this one idea about functions in mind, Write down those things. The more you add, the more you internalize, the more you will not make those mistakes. There's always one section which is lacking in marks. Oh, this happens to kind of everybody. So your best VRC, your best LRDI, your best Quant probably takes you a fantastic college. And it's like, look, it's not happening, right? I never have the best in all three happening in the same exam. It's not happenstance, it's not just luck, it's a series of factors. It's one main element is fatigue. You do VRC really well, you switched on in LRDI, and then fatigue creeps in for Quant. Another thing is temperament. You get unwittingly complacent, you get defensive. Like I've done really well in VRC, LRDI has also gone well. LRDI was my bugbear section. I never in my life imagined I would do 8 questions, 9 questions and be happy about it. Oh my god, it's actually going better than what I thought it would. Nice. Quant is anyway my safe section. All I need to do is not make too many errors. No, that's not the attitude you carry. You can't go in thinking all I need to do is make sure I don't do too many errors. You're like, I'm going to smash this once out of the park. And so you have to be switched on about the ability to kind of take measured risk, not fall into one complacency thing during the exam. I know sometimes it feels unusual, who's going to do this, but I'm very sure lots of people have done it, where they unwittingly become either defensive and say, look, I need to play safe and I'm through, or they just lose 8 minutes because they're dreaming about how well it has gone. 8 minutes can kill you, and so be very switched on about that. That happens, so you have to be very careful. That's why sometimes when you tank a section, you come back with a vengeance. And sometimes I've seen that happening. People like, oh, LRDI slipped from my hand, I'm burying Quant. And I've said that to myself during CAT. So that way you're super switched on. That also works. So if a middle section tanked, you recover and slaughter the third section. That happens. That could explain this. It's not just luck. I was scoring 30 to 40 marks. It varies sometimes even below that, especially in quants. I practiced many questions on topic wise. When it comes to marks, I was stuck somewhere there. Couldn't score more than 10 in quant. So just how to improve marks in quant. If you're scoring less than 50 in quant and also in verbal, then you need to narrow down your focus. You need to say, the chances are this, if you're getting 13 marks in quant, it is not 5 correct answers. Typically, people arrive at 13 marks, they've attempted 13 questions and got 6 of them wrong, or 7 of them wrong. 13 questions, 7 questions wrong, 6 correct, 6 into 3, 18. Out of the 7 wrong, 4, 5 are non-theta, you're at 13. And so, that means you've attempted 13 questions in 40 minutes. You're taking 3 minutes per question, which is rather nice. You can arrive at 18 questions, 18 marks instead of 13 marks, by attempting 6 questions, getting all of them right. That means your topic focus can be super narrow. You can say, I'll do percentages, profit and loss. I'll do simple interest, compound interest, ratio, proportion, mixtures, speed time, ratios, pipe systems, little bit of progressions, some exponents and logarithms. Nothing else I'm going to touch. 7 questions from here, all 7 right at 21 marks. That's more than 50% more than what I had with my 12, 13 grade. Brilliant. So when you are in that kind of trouble, when you're sub 15, consolidate, narrow down and say, look, I'm going to focus on very few topics, very few ideas, nail them, see a couple of scores like that, then come back and say, maybe I can do both. Don't expand topics, don't do too many, don't try to attempt 12 questions. If you're scoring 10 marks in quant, that means if you attempted 4 questions and got them right, your score is going to be better. I'm deliberately reframing it like this, 4 attempted, 4 correct, true. Practically anybody who's prepared for 6 months can find 4 questions to do. Find those 4 questions, do them, see 12 marks and say, how can I not get 12 marks? Then reframe around making sure your accuracy goes up. How to say compose if any section doesn't go well? Important. How to avoid getting overconfident if any section goes well? Yeah, both are important. A section doesn't go well, usually for me, one trick is to take a deep breath and then start afresh, start all over again. Right? Chatin has told me several times over to not do cricket analogies, right? so sports analogies, but look, I'm most comfortable speaking there. Our Indian coach right now, Rahul Dravid, had a very simple thing. He said, anytime a new bowler comes, or after a break, drinks or whatever, I'll take guard again. I'm saying, look, I'm starting all over. And so, take a deep breath, stretch yourself, and say, look, new 40-minute section. That helps. You're basically conning your brain into saying, new game, start all over again. That can combat fatigue, that can combat, that can bring in the switch from one type of thinking to another type of thinking, from Quant to LRDI, LRDI to, verbal to LRDI, LRDI to Quant, that shift that you have to do. It helps, and it kind of resets how you're about. And so, it's important to do that. And then say, look, that is all. I'm going to start with this. There's a nice analogy from Munna Bhai MBBS, very Sanjay, that says, "Itna roya, fir kya hua?" And then there's a pause in the whole movie. Dusri aayi. So you just have to say, look, this is done. I'm going to start the next one on that journey. Have a big smile on your face and say, look, I'm going to attack this one. Right? This is a serious problem. Not overconfident, but I would use the word complacent. Suddenly your mind is not attacking, it's not punchy, it's not intense. It is slipped into one sense of, I can coast from here and I'm still through. Unwittingly, be careful about it. And just understanding that it can be there, that's enough. Okay, RC, hand over each other. Even though I have the ability to solve 3+ sets in DILR, I could solve only 2. By the time only 5 to 8 minutes remain. It's a real problem. It's first world problem. So I'm very sure that about 70% of the audience here is saying, यहाँ पर 5 question नहीं मिल रहा है, इसको 12 भी चाहिए, get out of here. But it's a problem. I understand that for some people, they're facing this problem. It's a real issue. And so, especially because there's still 8 minutes remaining. It's 20% of the paper. And so, this is a good problem to have. Understand that. Right? I've also had this problem. What I do is when I'm going very close and I have very short time, I gamble more. I say, look, I probably can't solve the whole thing. So I gravitate towards a set where I read some panda, spend time for each question, rather than crack everything and answer 5 questions in a row. I gamble more where I see answer choices and backfit this and come back there. I go punt on theta. I skip constraints and see if I can plug something and do a Hail Mary. So you do all that because the 7 minutes can give you 0 or could get you 1 freebie. 1 freebie is huge from in that range. 10 questions all right to 11 questions all right is a big jump. Why would you want to leave that on the table? So typically what I do, I look for questions where it's not a puzzle to be solved and add 5 questions at a shot, but 1 question at a time. Take one framework, make inferences and simplify. I'll attack those. Or I hate doing this. I hate looking at choices. Which question says X and Y and ratio and all of that. And then there are 4 choices there. Only one of them is a multiple of 7. And I know Y has to be a multiple of 7. So I know that 210 is Y. And then I backfit 210 as Y, ignore other choices and fill the rest of it. So look at the choice, see there's something there, plug it back in and do. I don't like doing this. It's sometimes not foolproof. It can take you into errors. But hey, 5 minutes remaining, do that. Sometimes they give you super theta questions where they basically say, in how many classrooms have you got this, is our data incomplete? There'll be only 5 classrooms. All 5 cannot be incomplete, it's not 0. Typically you're guessing between 2 and 3. Take a punt and get out. So sometimes I do those things for the last 5-8 minutes. Over to you, Jatin. This one or the next.
Alright, okay, so I'm a public speaking enthusiast, and one rule in public speaking that I was taught very earlier on in my career was never follow a star speaker on stage. And this is exactly what has happened now. This is the worst thing that I could do. I should have come before Rajesh. I'm coming after Rajesh. And now, please don't drop off. Rajesh is going to come back. Okay, I'll just take a couple of VRC questions. And then there's one interesting question, VRC question for you, Rajesh. We'll talk about that. Okay. So let's talk about this. Is there anything we have to consider while selecting an RC selection strategies? For example, any red flags that we should stay away from a particular RC? It's a very good question. I don't have a straightforward answer for this. Okay, I think nobody has a straightforward answer for this because see, understand one thing. If the RC is very complex, often the questions are manageable. If the RC is simple, often the questions are difficult. Okay, and that happens in CAT all the time. If you solve past year papers, you would have noticed that. So because of this, right, the content of the passage and the questions, you have to marry the complexity and then decide, how the whole RC is. That's why it's difficult to answer this question. So there's no straightforward answer, but I will give you some guidelines. Okay, I'll divide it into 2 parts. If you're somebody who's attempting 2 RCs, right, Then what you can do is, before beginning the RC section, take about a minute or a couple of minutes to scan the RCs and then choose the best RCs for yourself. If you're somebody who's attempting 2 RCs, right? So you have a couple of minutes to do that. So scan the RCs and then choose the best RCs for you. Now, how do you decide which ones? So you're talking about red flags, right? What sort of tells me to stay away from an RC? Now see, RCs can be of 2 types, or actually 3 types. One is a concrete RC. Let's say the RC is talking about a particular animal, okay, or an organism, or let's say it's talking about tiles, okay, or even artificial intelligence. These are concrete topics, right? These are concrete topics. Those RCs tend to be a little manageable, as opposed to an RC that talks about an abstract topic. Let's say the RC is talking about an idea. Now, this typically happens in philosophy and psychology. You're talking about existentialism or nihilism, right? If it's an idea, that's an abstract topic. Abstract RCs tend to be more complex as far as the content of the RC is concerned, right? And of course, the third type is you can have a mix of abstract and concrete. So if you spot an abstract RC, you can lean towards it. You know, that's one criteria that you can keep in mind while selecting RCs. Lean more towards abstract RCs. Sorry, I'll scratch that. Lean more towards concrete RCs over abstract RCs, right? So animals, AI, tiles, as opposed to nihilism, existentialism, right? So that's one thing that you can keep in mind. And the second thing is, if you're somebody who's doing 2 RCs, look at the RC, look at the genre. If it's something that you're comfortable with, go for that, right? So let's say if you're comfortable with business topics, if you're comfortable, a lot of my students are comfortable towards science, or if you're somebody, let's say a humanities background, you're comfortable towards psychology or philosophy. So you can consider genre, keep the genre in mind, and then decide the RC based on that. Okay. Now this is for people who are attempting 2 RCs. If you're attempting 3 RCs, don't scan, right? You have to attempt 3 or 4 RCs, just start. Start solving the RC, start reading the passage. Around the 40%, 50% mark of the content of the passage, if you're able to extract the main idea, right, broadly, you're like, okay, I know what the author is talking about, broadly, then continue solving the RC. But at around the 50% mark, if you're like, I have no idea what's going on in this RC, skip that one and move to the next one. Okay, so this is for the people who are attempting 3 or 4 RCs. I hope that's clear, right? Again, not a straightforward answer, but try these things in your mocks. Is there another question?
2 slides to the right.
Right? Like this one?
This way.
Oh. Wait.
Yeah. Next one, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let's look at this one. What should be the appropriate attempts in VRC? Because sometimes I attempt too much and ended up getting low scores and vice versa. What should be the right strategy to tackle this section? This is very important. Now folks, one sort of thing that you constantly hear on YouTube from a lot of influencers and teachers is, in VRC, you should go all out, be brazen, and attempt as many questions as possible, right? You would have heard this. This is a very common thing that floats around. Now, one thing that I want to really clarify here is, that strategy works for people who have a high competency in VRC, right? So let's say if you're at 90 percentile, okay, or late 80s or early 90s in VRC, and you want to amp it up, then if you increase your number of attempts, that can take you above 95, can take you above 98. So if you have a high competency in VRC, you can adopt that strategy. If you have a low competency in VRC, that strategy is going to be a disaster for you. Don't do that, okay? So now it's very simple, and I think it applies to all sections. The amount of risk that you take in each section is directly proportional to your competency. Higher the competency, higher the risk. Lower the competency, lower the risk. So in VRC, if you are struggling, right, if you're not great with it, please focus really on accuracy. Mark only those questions where you're 90% sure. If you're low competency. If you're high competency, you can afford to take a little bit more risk, right? But again, don't go brazen. That doesn't work in VRC, right? Unless like you are a 99 percentiler. Moderate your risk and please balance your risk with your competency. Okay? So if your score is less than 10 or less than 15 in mocks, please go for a zero error approach. Mark only those questions in VRC where you're 90% sure. Try that in mocks and it will work. It has worked for several of my students. And then once you get more and more comfortable, gradually increase the number of questions and risk. Okay? All right, I think these were the 2 questions.
Yep.
I'll give you the third one. Okay, the question that they were asking you is, in the last year IMS mock, you scored 8 in VRC. Your mock, I remember you were actually quite unsettled by that. So the student is asking that you scored 8 in that mock and then you went on to score a 99 percentile in the actual CAT. So they're like, how did this transition happen?
Well, there isn't really a great answer. Sometimes you're just not informed. It doesn't work. Sometimes you just, all the luck deserts you, or you're just not feeling it. I think my MS mock was pretty much that. I had too much on my mind and I just, whatever. One of those things. Sometimes you have one of those mocks, you just say, big deal. You'll pick us up and go and attack the real one. I've always been more comfortable with CAT than mocks. This is something that all of you should remember. Actual CAT is typically far better than the mocks. Far better than the mocks. I'm saying using the word better, not saying easier, because I think better is the better adjective. And the questions are more unambiguous, very clear. And the passages are fun to read. The quant questions are either pleasing or on one nice funda. You have to unlock something. Hardly ever some brute force question sitting there with no charm in it. Right? LRDI puzzles are not out of whack. Like it's impossible to solve in 40 minutes. Type of puzzles are rare. And so it is a clean paper. So there's not much cranky thing. Sometimes you'll take a mock and you'll be like, I don't know whether that guy is accounted for the 0 or not. Am I supposed to include that or not include? The language is a little ambiguous. Is it non-negative or positive? So some things like that happen, but CAT is by and large very pleasant. So you should keep that in mind. And CAT is also likely to be simpler than almost 90% of the mocks that you've taken. So chances are you'll get surprised by how clean it is, how fun it is, and how much more straightforward and simple it is. So that helps more than anything else.
Should we take a few questions from the
We'll do a few questions from chat and then jump in. And
sure.
And then we'll come back to the list of questions.
Correct.
How to revise quant concepts? This is from Kaushik Agarwal. We've already done that. How should the marks and mocks right now? One aims to be in Tier 1 college. Tier 1 college, you typically need 98, 97 marks to be there, or 95 marks is what you're looking for. 95 to 100 marks is what you're looking for. I've seen people get 60, 65 and take it to 90, 95. So it's very much possible. I'm not saying anyone and everyone who's scoring 60 now is on track to get 95. If you're scoring 60, 65, 90, 95 is possible. Very much. Because one, there's a natural progress. Two, you could crack some funda, it may fall in place. Three, very important, CAT is likely to be easier than these books. Mock versus actual CAT percentile, great deal. Like mock is given by 7,000 students. Typically the percentile numbers depends on how the scorer is scoring it. I would say whatever average marks you're scoring now in typical mock, if nothing else changes, you're likely to get 15 to 20% marks more. So if you're scoring 65 now, I would look at it as 3 parts. You're going to take 10 more mocks, 12 more mocks. Automatically, that takes you 65 to 75 without doing anything. You work, you prepare, you fine-tune something, and then you crack something, you're learning something, you're amped up, 75 can go to 80, 85. Just by the idea that the actual CAT is simpler than this, the 85 translates to 95. That's how I would approach the gap, the path from 65 to 95. It should work. There's no part of this that is unfathomable or weird. Of course, there are a bunch of other dynamics in place. The actual CAT paper will have more stress. There are random variables in play. One thing could go wrong, 100 things could go wrong. So all of those are there. But when you're visualizing, saying, how is my 65 going to become a 95? This is the path. How is my 50 going to become a 75? This is the path. One part you take mocks, one part you crack some funda and learn and become better. One part, the exam is slightly simpler, can take you through. Sushma Swarat, mock scores only 20, 30, DALR in single digits. Always how to improve DALR. We're going to do a video on mock. I think Jatin's done one session on it. We're going to do a video on it where if your scores are sub 12, 13 marks in a section, what's your strategy? Because it's a whole world apart. And so lots of times, I feel like we're talking to the group of people who are at 60 who want to get to 80. We don't spend enough time speaking to people who are at 95 wanting to go to 110. First world problem. And we don't spend enough time talking to people who are getting 30 who first want to see a 50 before anything else. So we're going to do an exclusive video for that. The next couple of days we will release that. Super important. As a theme, what would I say? LRDI, don't scan, don't do 100 things, don't drift from one to another. when you're doing mocks or practice, add the ability to hang in with one set for 25 minutes, get it right. You should be able to say, I'm looking at these 4 sets, I've taken 3 minutes, 4 minutes, this one set isn't right in my zone. I'm going to spend 25 minutes, get 5 questions right. And until you do that, don't get out of, don't drift. If you're giving up on a set and saying, "Ito hone nahi wala hai, I'm going to try something else," that's fine. But don't say, "This is very close, I'll do that, I'll come back, how do I get the second set?" and nothing. It's like, I don't know if you guys have played rummy. In rummy, when you're playing with points and all that, once your real or life, 3 things in a sequence without joker is set, nothing else matters. If that is not there, you're getting 0. Nothing, you have to concede 100 points for that. You can have 5 other things done, but if one sequence without joker is not there, you're killed. So the game is very simple. Get that, and then try everything else. So that is your first step. So anchor everything around getting one set right. That's the ball game. If you can't get that, then everything else goes away. Doesn't matter. Lovely, Jane. So right now the situation is such that you have to study also, you have to revise also, you have to take mocks also. What do I do? Very important question, very relevant question. Number 1 priority from here on in is mocks. If you don't know anything about trigonometry, coordinate geometry, exponential logarithm, your life got a whole lot easier. Leave all these questions. If you're super uncomfortable with philosophy and existentialism and idea of happiness, leave those passages. If you simply don't get Parajumble, don't touch that. And so now is the time to say, I'm not looking at it as a framework from syllabus onwards. It is completely mocks downwards. So mocks are the ball game, the absolute priority. After that comes revision, new learning, to forget about it. When you are revising and you missed a funda, you're learning that's fine. But don't add topics to this. The topic that you're good in is what you'll double down on. Topic that you kind of are poor at, down there. So don't focus on learning, focus on revision, focus on mocks. Between mocks and revision, mocks are more important. Mocks tell you what to revise. Random guy, random issues and random thoughts. My BRC is strong, but DLR and QA are weak. Mocks, I'm scoring 30, 32 in BRC. That is damn nice. 12 to 15 in DLR, 15 to 20 in QA. Should I just improve my VRC and target to get 50 plus? Look, if you're already good in VRC, there isn't another ton of things that you're not going to memorize 1,000 words. You're not going to do 100 passages. You're good. I don't know whether your strategy can be now, okay, I'll double down and aim for 50 plus in VRC. That's my strategy. You've got that in the bag. Your 12 to 15 in LRDI is fine. And if you do 15, chances are you have 1 in the bag. 3 more questions, 24, that's a rock star score. And so it's not far away. Your 12 to 15 in Quant, that is where I would step up and say, if you're prepared, if you're serious about CAT, chances are you can find 8 questions that you can get right. So you have to say, look, my target every time I do a mock is 8 questions, all correct in Quant. You do that, your whole view of this exam changes. My mocks started with great percentile at 97 plus, but it's consistently in less than 90% for our last 1 month. My saying this happens. Mock scores plateau, mock scores go backwards. There's a variety of reasons. One could be fatigue. Another could be your mind is not getting time to bring in the improvements. Third is you're getting overcoached. Too many inputs, no clarity. It can happen. So you have to say, the last mile you have to own your preparation. This is my strategy. This is my plan. This is my route to 80 marks. I've listened to Jatin, I've listened to Rajesh, I've listened to 5 other guys. They're all saying good things, but all of them together have said so many things. And my teacher here has said, my friend has said that I'm all over the place. I'm saying, no, this is my plan. And do mocks to execute that plan, get better, get your instinct back. Super important. Own what your route to 75 marks or 80 marks is really, really well. Now, don't be all over the place because you've listened to so many inputs. It's very, very easy to get overcoached, especially in this last mile. Everybody, all of us, I'm not saying we don't mean well, and I can tell you we definitely mean well. We want to give, we're hoping that one thing that we say could be that magical thing for some one person who's struggling. It just gives some clarity. And so, but to this, and lots of inputs come from lots of people. It's very easy to just get cluttered. So you have to find your path. You have to say, look, this is riffraff. This one thing works for me. I'm going to try that. Execute that. And one thing that really also helps if your scores are plateauing is maybe you're living, breathing, and doing this CAT thing a little too much. take a 2-day break, watch the World Cup, which reminds me, Afghanistan could pull off something. I'll be thrilled to bits if they do that. Every time I see the score, there's good news for England. So I'm not seeing it right now, but I did sneak a look, and the 7th wicket was down. I'm hoping. It's like one of those golden rules of cricket following, right? If England are playing, we want them to lose. If Australia are playing, we want them to lose.
So that's what they meant by Afghanistan is on fire. I just got a message.
Oh, you got a message like that?
I'm not a cricket fan. I got scared that this is like another.
Oh no, this is not that.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing. This is Afghanistan being the good kind.
I saw that fire smiley. I was like, this is not good. After Israel and Gaza.
So Afghanistan have a good chance against England. I'm hoping they make it count. Lovely. I'm going to have a look at questions from Mamta Kumari. Questions are not solved at the time of mock, but are solved at the time of analysis. Always. And again, lots of time people tell me I can solve 15 questions, I can solve 16 questions. I'm not able to do this in mock. I tell them, look, you're probably kidding yourself. And so it is not that easy to replicate non-mock performance in mocks. Very often we don't understand the context. First things first. Being able to solve 15 questions and being able to find, locate and solve 15 questions in 40 minutes are worlds apart. And so keep that in mind. Typically, in a lot of the mocks, there are interesting charts which says how much time you spent on question getting that you got right, that you skipped, that you got wrong. Typically, you don't spend more than 50% of the time on question that you got right. That means half the time is getting wasted. And you can't take that to zero. Super difficult. And so don't assume your non-mock performance is indicative or representative of your mock. It's not. And all of us, from the guy who's starting his first mock to the guy who's a Sachin Tendulkar of mock taking, they'll always finish a mock and say, इसमें से easily 3 और questions आ सकते हैं. Everybody, all of us do this. And so every time you're saying, I could have done this, you have to say, look, but if I had done this, what am I not doing? And so if you sometimes an analysis of speed becomes warped. If you can do 11 questions in Quant, you typically take about 3 minutes per question. And that's all you can do. Another 4 questions are in your syllabus that you can do, that you know the funda for, you can't do it. You don't have time. And so sometimes you run out of time in a mock. Which is why I keep saying the analysis part has to start with decision making. Did I go for the right questions? If you did, then just leaving the silly freebie question, could have tried 3 more questions, all of those are valid. The other thing that also plays a role is fatigue and pressure. Both are important. And so sometimes we underestimate pressure, sometimes we underestimate fatigue. Quant is your third section. So Quant is where this variance is maximum. I've seen everybody come back and say 8 questions, I attempted 7 were right, but I could have easily done 14. It is cruel of me to say you would have never done 14, but that's what I feel like saying. Not because I want to land a blow, and I'm too old for that, but I want to communicate that look, you look at analysis and you feel like 14 questions, Kelly, I know the approach. That doesn't mean your potential is 14 attempted 14 correct. No. The exam context, skipping questions, it being in the middle of something, all of those play a role. Right? So, but this gives you an avenue. You can say, look, I got 21, but my potential is 42. How do I bridge it? Typically, the decision-making variables are more important than the funda variables. You should be skipping some questions that you get sucked into. Crack that, and then the scores will happen slowly. What to prepare to get only one set correct in DILR, what to prepare to get only one correct. Again, that's it. I think for DILR passage selection and VRC passage selection, there is no golden rule, there's no golden bullet, there's no one mantra that we can hand over to you. Keep in mind that you can get it wrong. And I've seen guys who are super good at question selection, make the wrong set, make sure you cut your losses, say in nahi ho raha, and then recover and bounce back. That is important. Bouncing back well. It's not something that should build. Making the decision right the first time, a little bit of luck. There's no foolproof method. Not even close. While giving mock, should I input random values for theta? Yeah, not an issue. Not an issue. They've told us several times over that theta is not negative mark and theta incorrect is not double factored in. They communicated that theta is 0. Get it wrong. So we can punt. There are mocks and my DILR score 0 could very well happen. It could be that you've got stuck in one thing for 30 minutes and did not have time for doing another thing for 10 minutes. That can happen. That the lesson for you to say give up in 10 minutes. Give it up. Start all over again. If consistently you're struggling to find that one set, then this is not just a decision making and time thing. It could be a way where you're giving up when you're really close. Probably shut out the time pressure and say, previous year more questions in CAT. I'm going to solve each and one of them. If it takes 45 minutes, it takes 45 minutes. If it takes 50 minutes, it takes 50 minutes. If it takes 23 minutes only, it takes 23 minutes only. And solve 15 of those sets. When you solve those 15 sets, you'll realize that there were 6-7 of them that you could solve in 20 minutes. And that changes the dynamics. And you need to find that one, solve in 20 minutes, find the back. After that, everything is bonus. So previous year CAT questions are brilliant for that. So use them.
Rajesh, I'll take a couple of BRC questions and then hand it back to you.
Yeah.
That's okay. All right. Okay. So Kishan Kumar, right? He's saying, help me, my score in VRC is in single digit. What should I do? But overall it is above 60. So first of all, see, if your overall score is above 60 with a single digit VRC score, that means you're doing really well in DLR and Quant. Okay. So first up, good job on that. Good job on Quant and DLR. Now the question is, how can you improve your score from single digits to potentially double digits and then, like 20s, 30s and stuff. If you're in single digits, and this is for everyone who is below 10, below 15 in VRC, Kishan, what's most likely happening with you is you're losing out a lot of marks on negatives. Okay, I'm guessing here, right? I'm making an intelligent guess. You're potentially attempting a lot of questions and then you're losing marks on negatives. If you're in single digits, please for the next 2 mocks adopt a zero error approach, and we'll probably link that video from Rajesh. It's a 2-minute video where he talks about this approach. So the crux of this approach is in the next 2 mocks, mark only those questions where you're 90% sure of getting the correct answer in VRC. So attempt fewer questions, but make sure your accuracy, aim for 100%, you'll probably land around 90% accuracy. And then you'll see that your scores have gone to double digits. So from a 5 or a 6, you'll go to like 15, 16, right? Try that for 2 mocks, attempt fewer questions, really focus on accuracy, and you will definitely improve. This strategy works. Okay, so try that. That's one tip. Second, the question that I'm going to ask you is, are you focusing on verbal ability? Okay, a lot of students make this mistake. They just focus on RC and they completely leave out verbal ability. VRC is like 2 exams combined into one. There is a RC section and there is a VA section. And out of those 8 VA questions, 4 to 5 will definitely be manageable. So if you're leaving out VA questions completely, then that means you're leaving out 4 to 5 questions that you potentially could have gotten corrected. So focus on VA as well. At least you should allocate 9 to 10 minutes to VA to do justice to it. Okay, so demarcate it, like it can be like, it differs from person to person, but at least give VA 9 to 10 minutes, okay, and try to get points there and focus on a zero error mock. For the next 2 mocks, it will definitely help you. All right, okay, so that's for Kishan. There's another question where one of you was saying that I'm stuck in 90 percentile in VRC. How do I go from 90 to 95 and potentially 99 or even 100, right? If you're stuck at 90 percentile in VRC, you should try and increase your number of attempts. Again, I'm going to take you back to my previous point. The amount of risk that you take is directly proportional to your competency, right? So if you're at 90 percentile, that tells me that you are strong in VRC. Your foundation is intact. Your foundation is good. Attempt more questions. Take more risks. Again, don't go brazen, right? Don't start attempting like all questions. That doesn't work. Gradually increase the number of questions in mocks. So if you're attempting, let's say, 13 to 14 questions, try to attempt 17 to 18 questions, and you will see the magic, right? So if you're at 90 percentile, attempt more questions. It will get you to 95 and potentially 98 and 99 as well. Okay, so keep that in mind. Before I hand it back to Rajesh, one tip that I can give you for VRC, there wasn't a question, but at this point in time, right, people always ask me, what should I do? What should I do for VRC? Mocks, of course, is there. That's number one. Even before that is past year papers, right? So that applies to all sections. Give your past year papers. That's a very good indicator of your CAT score, by the way. You folks are asking, right? How do I map my mock scores to real CAT scores? You won't be able to do that. Okay? No mock in the world, including 2IIM mocks, no mock in the world can give you that, right? It's a mock, right? Attempt past year papers 2022, 2021 and 2020 because there were 2 mocks. Attempt them, that will give you a good idea of where you're going to land in CAT, and it will pleasantly surprise you, right? So do that. Number 1, that's for VRC, that's generic gyan. Practice a lot of RC and BA questions. Every day you should be practicing questions. If you're not giving a mock, On that day, practice RCs and BA questions. So at this stage, 2 to 3 RCs plus 5 to 6 BA questions per day, right? Practice them with a timer, right? A lot of you are asking, right? I crumble in mock, I crumble under time pressure. The only way to get out of this is to get used to that time pressure. So give more mocks and practice your questions with a timer as well. So do a lot of practice, it will really help you. And one thing, start reading articles which are of longer length. Often I get this question, like Bharat's reading list. Oh, you guys post like 2,500, 3,000, 4,000 words articles, the RC is only 500 words, how is that going to help me? Folks, understand your one RC is 500 words. Your 4 RCs plus BA questions is 2,500 plus words. So you have to read 2,500 plus words in 40 minutes. Start getting used to reading longer articles. I'm telling you, persist, every day read a long article, you will see the magic. The reading momentum and everything goes up. So start reading longer articles, don't shy away. That will really help you in building your reading muscle. Okay, I'm going to hand it back to Rajesh.
Thanks, Nitin. I did check the scores. Go fast. Thanks, sir. We're going to have a look at a few questions and then come back to this. Jatin and Rajesh, everyone has been saying there's always 2 options in RC which are easily eliminated.
Yes.
Most of the time I get stuck on 2 options.
You should talk about the difference approach that you spoke about in all the videos. Figure out the difference and then break the time. Yeah.
Okay. So if you, I think that speaks to after you have boiled it down to 2 choices. So if you still have 3 choices remaining, my gut feel is there's a chance that you're reading the passage too quickly. So there is Chetan frequently talks about active reading and passive reading. And so for me, being so conscious in grabbing data, grabbing points and information, sometimes takes my mind off the essence of a passage. I cannot pick wit, I cannot pick humor, I cannot pick sarcasm, I cannot pick those nuances in a passage if I'm reading to retain data. If you're not able to eliminate 2 choices, consistently you feel like all 3 are relevant. All 4 choices seem to be reasonable, that kind of stuff. That means there's a chance that you're reading too fast and you're reading without being able to grab nuance, which is reading in RC mode. You said this in 1985, this happened 1985, important date is important. Date probably is not important, it's talking about a theme. Dr. Mark Greatbatch spoke to Elizabeth Taylor, and then you're remembering this, writing that down. You want names, details, places, venues. By the time the theme or the pattern or what is the underlying idea, you're not able to grab it because your mind has been occupied in grabbing details. Very frequently happens. And so that also happens when you're reading too fast. So if you're comfortably narrowing it down to 2 choices, you have to eliminate it. Then you probably think about looking at grounds to eliminate 1 choice, something overstated, something different. What is the specific difference between these 2 choices after I've narrowed it down? That thinking helps. If you're consistently reading passages and 3 or 4 choices are relevant, you're probably reading too fast. Slow it down, take it in, enjoy it. Excuse me, sir, despite having bad academic background of 75% in each 10th and 12th, do I have any chance of winning at IIMs? Oh, look, the IIM ABC, it's tough because they want everything and they get everything. So there's a demand supply equation. If you leave ABCL IK, then if you get 99 percentile, you have a good chance with almost everything. And also in DRC and DLR, should I give the last 2 minutes of the section to prepare myself for the next one? No such thing. Switch off, you click, and then it loads. That 30 seconds, you start again. No, you can't wait 2 minutes now. No chance. How do I revise Quant? We've already covered this. Rewatch videos or go through 2 books or topic-wise test. Funda gap is there, rewatch theory videos and basics. Speed gap is there, take tests. Between these 2, where the gap is, your analysis will tell you. Mocks, Funda or speed, bridge that gap. I didn't give any mocks till now, Frozone. Stop this video, go take a mock right now. Previous year question getting about 85-92, that's very good. Start giving more mocks right now. Average of 85%, that's good. Master's degree in physics should be any chance advantage to me during admission. First hurdle is this one. I'm going to focus exclusively on CAT and mocks, not worrying about admission chances in interviews right now. Non-engineers started preparing a month ago, 95 plus in DRC, 90 plus in DLO. Cannot even solve more than 2 questions in Quant. What will be your advice? Quite a few people are in this. If you're getting single digits in Quant, we're going to focus on that exclusively. Narrow down your topics. Get on top of arithmetic completely. Arithmetic is percentages, profit and loss, speed, time, distance, ratios, mixtures, races, pipes and cisterns, work and time, averages, basics of linear equation, maybe not even quadratic equation, but linear equation, progressions, little bit of exponents and logarithm, these topics. And so you do these are math topics, not the aptitude topics, class 6, 7, 8, 9 topics, not functions, not trigonometry, not coordinate geometry, not advanced math, quantitative ability. This gives you a free pass to give or take half the paper and opens a route to 92-93 percentile. That's your priority. Each of the topics I mentioned can be done in 4-5 hours. So if you set aside 12 days of preparation, you can complete 10 of these topics. And you say, look, I'm throwing everything into this. There's a very good chance that out of 22 questions, you'll be able to approach 11. That is, you know the funda for 11. You can't do 11. You won't have time pressure or take decisions. And then you say, look, I'm looking only at this 11. This is my paper. From this 11, I'll find 7. Get 6 right with 18 marks. The one is no negative. Then you're through. But that's a very credible plan. If you can amp it up to from 7 to 9, attempt 9, get everything right, you're coasting, you're flying. That should be a plan. Focus on arithmetic, narrow down your topics. How would you prepare LRDI specifically? You covered that in depth. Going through crunch time in office, how to practice from here for CAT. Take time off to read. You can't really prepare for CAT too much if you're in office, not friendly. I'm going to go back to these questions. I've gone through geometry theory, practiced quite a few questions, but still during the mock exam I'm unable to grab. It's very frequent problem, especially in geometry. Geometry is learned iteratively. You learn geometry, you learn all the funda, and you do questions. First phase, you're clueless about how to solve them, but every answer you understand. That means the fundas and theorems are in place, but it's like a toolkit available here, the question here, you don't know which one to plug here, which is why the solution seems obvious, because it's just plugging alternate segment theorem and writing an answer. I know alternate segment theorem. That's the starting point. Knowing alternate segment theorem is the starting point. Knowing how to plug alternate segment theorem, second part. Understanding that this question calls for alternate segment theorem, that's the ball game. And so you have to learn geometry, do a bunch of questions, have your backside handed to you, then revisit geometry. This time place ideas in your head saying, okay, if I have a secant, I have to think about tangent secant here. If I'm talking about tangent, I need to understand tangents are equivalent length, tangent is talking to the radius, Pythagoras theorem comes in here. Those cues in your mind, consciously you keep placing. After a while it becomes subconscious, you automatically accounted for this. You look at a question, you'll pick the method, you'll pick which funda to plug in. That has to happen. It takes time. Geometry is learned iteratively. Theory, questions, theory, questions, theory. Then it comes in place. Having zero confidence in DLR, whenever I decide to start with a set, there's a fear that this might be one of those hard ones. Maybe I'll end up wasting time on it instead of getting easier ones in the bag. I need help improving judgment and managing time. First of all, the decision is not foolproof. And very often I think the bar in getting the decision right in our own heads is very high. We can't get it right. We cannot get it right. It is not about the wrong decision that you make. It's about cutting your losses and feeling good and attacking the next one really well. And so don't place this pressure on yourself to have to get the right passage going. Not gonna happen. I found super questions right in my territory. Like it'll have prime numbers, composite numbers, number of ways, like number theory, permutation, combination staring at me. I love that. I'm like, this is my advantage topic, this is my zone. I'm going to kill this and then do the easy one that everybody will get also. And I'm imagining 11, 12 questions, I've never done that and all that. And then it turns out it's right in my zone, but it's too difficult. But I hang on and cling to it for 18, 19 minutes, my section gets killed. And so don't put this pressure that your decisions have to be right. They will sometimes be right, sometimes be wrong. Be happy leaving when they don't work well for you. This pressure of, look, maybe I'm stuck in a wrong one, maybe I'm stuck in the wrong one, that's going on at the back of the head. Again, that is possible. the last lap, the pressure becomes more and more telling. You tell yourself that it's the wrong one, I'll leave and go find a better one. This thing happens. Consciously telling yourself that it's super tough to get the decision right. Getting a decision wrong is fine. And then bouncing back, that's the ball game. And I think that's a beautiful quote. I think attributed to Mr. Ratan Tata. Yes, I don't make right decisions all the time, or I don't look to make all the right decisions. I look to make decisions and then I make them work. So he says big part of decision making is after you have committed to a path, make it work. So you might select a puzzle. If a part of your brain is continuously evaluating whether the right puzzle that has been selected, then you are cooked. You selected that puzzle, execute it, see it through. Or you say, look, no, didn't work. I'll go to the next one, throw everything into it. But if a part of your brain is continuously evaluating your decision, then you don't have enough bandwidth to attack the puzzle. You have to keep that up. From now, is attempting and analyzing 20 mocks good and sufficient? Yes. 20 mocks is probably a lot. We're already on October 15, 40 days to go. 20 mocks is a lot. But good ambition, keep it in. You don't need anything else. On what day before the exam can we take mocks? Exams on Sunday. I would strongly request dialing down by latest Friday afternoon, Friday evening. You need energy. You need to not worry about mocks and scores. You need to feel good, eat well, sleep well, that kind of stuff. So Friday should be the last. Friday morning should be the last window where you're taking, not after that. I finished my syllabus long ago. Good. My scores are not increasing. I don't know where I'm lagging. Right now, I think I'm touching 90th percentile. What should I do to get 99? Bunch of things. Keep at it. This happens to everybody. It's like that old story about I think bamboos, and they don't show any growth for 6 years, and the 7th year they fly. It could be that a bunch of things that you have put in place by finishing syllabus long back is sitting inside, and then something slowly, gently unlocks it. It's still 6 weeks. Don't let the pressure of having started so much ahead and they're now finding that guys who started 4 months ago are scoring 93rd percentile get to you. You've done the right things. You finished syllabus. You're taking mocks. Be super intense. Turn up day after day. Take mocks and analyze them well. Fill gaps wherever possible. Write down stuff to amp up how fresh they are in your head. Keep at it. Do the simple basic things well over and over again. The habit building, intensity building pays off. It could very well be that you're heading a 90th percentile now in mocks. Then naturally you go to 93, 94. And then it turns out that CAT is that much simpler and it's automatically 97, 98 marks wise. You're good to go. So it's a big gap. I'm not saying it's automatically हो जाएगा, but it's a bridgeable gap. I've noticed I perform way better when I take previous year questions. Yes! I really like it when I'm trying to make a point and the next question reinforces that point. Right? Previous year questions are the ball game. They are the most representative. Right? So, as Jatin said, these are all mocks. That's the real deal. Right? So I forget the level of difficulty. They're just cleaner. Maybe I'm not finding the right adjective. Maybe the verbal teacher should find the right adjective. They're cleaner. Like you go to a restaurant, from menu card to the way the place is set. It's easier to order, and there's no junk, there's no riffraff, no ambiguity, there's no clarity about the exam. I usually love the passages that I read. Some questions are cranky, but the passages are fun. LRDI, at least one puzzle draws me in. That's nice, well framed. The language is better. Mocks language sometimes sucks. But the real CAT language. Sorry?
The quality checks probably they go through a ton of quality checks.
We guys have to put 20 mocks. Those guys do 3. Now we have a bigger team than us. And so they get away lucky. But it's just the cleanliness that really helps. And so again, just forget this question. This is again a point I want to make. There are 3 years worth, that is 9 previous year 2-hour papers that are available as mocks. Please take them. Please take them. There are a ton of value to give a sense of what is this CAT about, the quality of questions, what you can expect real-time live there. And then there are 3 years worth, 3-hour mocks sitting inside the system. Look at those questions, solve them for sure. I find so many instances where students have done mocks and questions and advanced tests and books, and finally they say, I did all this, but I did not have time to do some previous year questions. 2 mocks I took. Nonsense. You're handed 9 real live experiences of actual CAT on a platter. You'll be daft to leave that on the table and take some mock from some free provider just because they're pitching it to you. If you have not taken previous year questions as mocks, take them first. If you've not done previous year questions of the 3 years before that as practice questions, keep them very high on your list. That is super important, super representative, and wonderful quality. Don't miss out on that. Right? And you obviously know where to find solutions for all of them. Right? So find that there on the 2IM channel and website in case I'm not clear about it. The standard mocks seem way more difficult. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I'm stuck in the 85 to 95 percentile range. It's a broad range. How can I systemically improve, do the small things well, amp up your intensity, analyze thoroughly, and keep the belief. Have the chart, your plan, and stick to it. I know it seems like a lot of motherhood statements, but very often in the last mile, especially going from 95 to 99, is a ton of small things. Ton of small things, staying on top of all of them, and then cumulatively they play. Quant is my strong suit, 30 to 40. Yeah, go Quant. I'm leaving 10 to 15 marks out there, you probably are not. I know I can score 45 plus in this section, it's good, but that happens rarely. So you have to go to this 45 mark paper and then say, okay, what's happening here? How was I on fire? One element could be decision making, where you say, look, I'll leave these questions straight in. And so analyze how much time you're spending on stuff that you're not attempting, leave straight away. The second thing could be amping up dialing down the error rate. Still, you're getting 40 marks in Quant, your accuracy should be very good. But 40 marks can be 15 right and 5 wrong, or 13 right. And if it is 15 right and 5 wrong, you're attempting 20 questions. Then you still have to say, I'm punting, I'll be careful, I'll attempt 18, get everything right, you're flying. And so, counterintuitively, dialing down attempts or not chasing attempts could be the thing that unlocks. Keep it in mind. I'm going to go back to chat.
I'll give you one question. Riaz has been pinging, saying his questions have not been taken from the sheet. So one of his questions is it okay to leave topics such as PNC and probability since there is isn't enough time?
Riaz, PNC and permutation combination probability easily. Typically one question, maximum two, happy to leave, don't touch it. Some people love that topic, some people get that topic, some people feel like this is fun. But otherwise, it's too much effort for too little payoff. Easily.
And the follow-up questions, would you ever get a DRR set based on these topics?
Unlikely. I would never say not impossible.
Yeah.
Unlikely. It has happened. One of the last, about 3 years ago, 4 years ago, one was based on it. But generally, there's a brute force listing things down, work around it. Hey, even then, typically in DLR, you have to do only one or two. There's one bleeding obvious based on PMC, leave that. You could still get 99% without touching that. It's not going to hurt you. Try geometry, but just don't seem to get it to all this point. Will it be okay to skip the difficult bits like Kojo now? Yeah. Again, it depends on this. I think Jatin spoke about the better you are, the more risk you can take. And so, very much like that. The better you are, the similar thing in Quant. The better position you are at, the more finicky you should be about dropping topics. If you're attempting 14 questions and typically getting 12, 13 right, then you can't leave coordinate geometry. Then you can't leave mensuration, trigonometry, because you could have 3 questions there that could be freebies and you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs. But if you're typically getting only 12 marks in Quant, then dump topics away to glory. If you're struggling to get double-digit marks, then dump a ton of topics, narrow your focus, get 15 marks consistently in Quant, then step up. But if you're getting 44 marks in Quant, you've got 44, you typically get 39, 40, then your room for dumping topics, very little. Because imagine 22 questions, there will be 3, 4 that are tough. Those are the ones that kind of make a distinction between 98.5 and 99.8, and probably 99.8 and 99.99. So there are 4 or 5 that are going to be tough. So if you're saying, what is my route to 98 percentile? It's the remaining 17, not getting stuck in that 4 or 5, doing these reasonably quickly, getting maybe only 1 or 2 wrong. If you're already at 40, you're nearly there. Then you don't have room to skip topics. If you're scoring 40 marks in Quant, you're not leaving anything. But if you're scoring 12 marks in Quant, leave away to glory. I didn't take any mocks. Frozone, we already answered that question. Previous year questions, previous year papers as mocks is the absolute priority. After that, other mocks. If some of you sitting there saying, I've not taken previous year papers as mock, that is 9 of them available to you on a platter. Take all 9. practice the previous 6 as practice questions. If you're taking 9 mocks as previous year papers, you do 4 or 5 more, that takes you to 14, 15. Done. That's all the time we have. Satyam Raj, I want to score 40 in quant, but only getting 29, 30 due to 2 to 3 silly errors. Silly errors are very much part of the game. You can't say these are just silly errors and leave them. Make sure your accuracy is high. It's an attitudinal thing. Work on that. Don't have a laissez-faire attitude to errors. Okay. Anyway, 2 3 questions will go wrong like that. No, they won't. They won't. You should not fall into that trap. That there's a trade-off and you're leaving accuracy on the table to get speed. No such thing. It's a jump scare, Riyaz Ashraf says. I'm not getting the context. I'm scoring 50 to 16 marks. What can you suggest? We could do a video on this. A wonderful video we're working on. We will get it released by Tuesday, Wednesday.
Oh, that was a jump scare because you answered his questions, so you woke.
How to analyze VARC section in mocks, especially RCs?
Okay, I can talk about it. Especially RCs, alright. Okay, so the general, and I think Rajesh did refer to it, right? The general approach for analyzing a mock is, you can start with, so divide it into 3 sections. Analyze the wrong questions first, then analyze the unattempted ones, then analyze the correct ones, right? So wrong, unattempted, correct. And I'll post that approach in the comments as well. So analyze in that order, and in each order, please focus on question selection, right? So for instance, in the wrong questions, when you're analyzing your wrong questions and looking at the solution and understanding the concept, also see if your question selection strategy was spot on, right? So for instance, in the wrong question section, did you attempt a very difficult question? If you attempted a very difficult question that should have ideally been left out, that means your question selection strategy went wrong. So have that question selection component, which is very crucial in each of those 3 sections, right? For RC, I mean, again, specifically for RC, I don't have any tips for analysis, but overall for analysis, definitely maintain an error log, right? Now that error log can be structured. You can have like error types and you can structure it. If you like structure, some of my students prefer structure, so they create these fancy Excel sheets and do that. It helps them. If you don't want to structure it, just have a running Word doc, right? Whatever mistakes you're making. So try to figure out patterns in your mistakes. So in RCs, for instance, why are you making mistakes? Are you not reading the question stem correctly? Are you not evaluating all the options? Like you saw option A and you just selected it without evaluating the remaining options. Remember, you have to pick the best answer possible. Are you making inference related mistakes? Are you not looking for evidence? Do you have a problem with comprehension? Are words throwing you off? Whatever those errors are, figure out patterns and keep writing that in a running Word doc. And revise that Word doc before giving every mock. Definitely revise that before giving your actual paper. So then that will sort of help you to not repeat the same mistakes again. Okay, so that error log part is very important. Analysis, we'll definitely paste it in the, I'll put it in the comments so you can have a look at that. I can take one more VRC question that's coming up, which is about parajumbles, right? Like I'm struggling with parajumbles, how do I improve? See, remember one thing, in parajumbles, there'll be, again, if the pattern remains the same, you'll have 3 parajumbles. Out of that, typically 2 out of 3 parajumbles are manageable. One is definitely manageable, second is in that moderate to difficult range, and the third one is difficult. So I'll give you tips around question selection when it comes to PJs, right? There are 2 things to keep in mind. One, can you understand the sentences? If you can't understand the sentences, you won't be able to solve that parajumble. So the sentences are very complicated. If it's a complicated paragraph, you won't be able to solve it. So one, do you understand it? And second, look for clues. Now what are we talking about? Clues are basically conjunctions, right? Transition words. If there is a however, if there is a yet, if there is a also, right? If there's a despite, those things become easy. So if you understand the sentences, you find some clues, attack that parajumble, right? And then there is a strategy to solve a parajumble. If you look at my previous videos where I've solved CAT papers, I've described I can probably link it. There's a clear-cut strategy, step 1, step 2, step 3 that you follow. So have a look at it. One thing that I'll tell you, at the end, do a versus. So let's say if your answer is 2, 3, 4, 1. Often you will see the correct answer is 2, 3, 1, 4. The last 2 digits get interchanged. That's a common error that happens with a lot of students. So in the last step, you should do a versus. So there are 2 combinations, 2, 3, 4, 1 versus 2, 3, 1, 4. Do a quick versus and see which one is better in terms of flow of content, right? That will improve your accuracy. So yeah, don't ignore Parajumbles completely. One, at least you'll get 3 marks if you adopt the right strategy and do a reasonable amount of practice. So I will link that video. Have a look at it. Okay. Is there anything in RC? Okay. Soumitra is saying, sir, I do retain the data in RC. Also note down the idea the passage is catering, but some words like ancient or modern instead of postmodern and option ruin marks. How to remember tiny things? Soumitra, I'm not sure if I understand the question, but you don't have to remember anything in RCs. When you're reading an RC, right, you don't have to remember anything. You just have to extract the main idea, right? And I think you are a student, we've discussed this in class. You don't have to remember anything because you can, what I always say is you extract the main idea and then for every question, go back. Go back to specific portions based on your mental map. Don't read the whole RC again. Go back to specific portions and then look for evidence. If you quickly do that for every question, you won't have that, you won't make those memory mistakes. Right? So definitely don't hesitate to go back to specific portions to either figure out or confirm your answer. And always look for evidence. For every inference, you should ask yourself, show me the evidence. If you can point out the evidence, great. If you can't, then you'll get it wrong. Okay? Alright. I'll hand it back to Rajesh.
I think we're pretty much done. We've covered good ground in the set of questions that we've had already, and here as well. Will the entire stream be available on YouTube after this?
Yeah.
It'll probably take an hour or half an hour for YouTube. Because these days it's only 10 minutes apparently.
It's quickly.
It just gets processed in 15 minutes and it will be available. This, 1 RC plus BA, good approach to clear the cutoff of
Oh
BRC.
yeah, that, should I quickly
do
that? Okay. Alright, 1 RC, I saw that question. 1 RC, what you're saying is 1 RC plus 8, so somebody said 1 RC plus 8 VA questions, right? Folks, that 8 VA questions is not going to be possible, right? I don't think anybody gets those 8 VA questions right. VA is considered as a separate exam. There will be difficult questions in VA, right? Typically, if you're somebody who's adopts the right strategies, has done significant practice, you can get 5 out of 8 correct in VA. So don't bank on getting 8 out of 8 questions in VA. That is not going to happen, right? You should leave out the very difficult questions. 1 RC plus VA, is it possible to clear the cutoff through that? It's a risky strategy. You can do it. I mean, cutoffs again, see, don't fixate too much on score to percentile mapping. That can differ based on complexity, right? And now with the increased number of takers, normalization, you can't really predict it. But 1 RC plus VA, right, could clear the cutoff, but it's risky. I would suggest 2 RCs plus VA to be safe. That gives you room to get questions wrong and stuff like that. But yeah, 1 RC plus VA is going to be tricky. Try 2 RCs plus VA. I think that's a safe way of clearing cutoff. Okay, but definitely focus on VA because that's a profitable section. All right, what should I do 1 to 2 days before DA? Before D-Day, relax. Read, just read. Don't do much, just keep a reading momentum on and then relax. Try not to do too much there. All right.
I think we can sign off.
Yes, revision. You can probably talk about the revision course. The first class is tomorrow.
Okay. We're starting a revision course with the first live class tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wonderful format. The details are available on the website. It will be there in the description of this video or as a comment soon enough. Beautiful course. We rather pride ourselves on teaching from Fundas, and we keep that going right unto even revision and beyond. Since that we don't do a bunch of formula things and say we'll do this. So we enjoy the process of cracking Fundas down into processes. I know quite a few of you might have questions still. We're going to do more sessions like this. Post the questions. If the questions are there and comment, we'll shoot videos for them and then upload on our YouTube channel. So very specific question. We will shoot specific videos for them and then leave them online. So if you have them, I'm sure anytime we do a mock, we feel like those 3 questions we should have tried. And we do a live session, I'm sure 3 of you are saying, look, I had a question answer may work. We'll try our best. So stick it in. Afghanistan have won.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much. defeated England, defending champions and all that. So nice.
They defeated England.
They defeated England.
Whoa, that's great.
So good news for all cricket fans. Right, so I'm quite happy. Typically, an underdog story is good, right? Straight away.
Yeah.
And I've never been a fan of England, even though I like a lot of members of this English team, really, but I don't like England as a team. And so I think they get too smug too quickly. So I feel really bad for them when they're losing, and then they start winning, and then I'm like, look, you guys are better off. I liked you more when you were losing. So probably not a great attitude from my part. Hey, that's what it is. One general theme, focus on revision, check out the revision course. General theme on handling pressure is going to become a factor from now on. So keep that in mind, that it is a factor for everyone. Find your ways of combating it. De-emphasize the outcome in this exam. Super difficult. The emotional investment is high, 6, 7, 8, but it's high for us. And so sometimes we keep worrying about, okay, these guys are going to do this exam and we fret. I can imagine if you're going through it live, it's many times higher for you guys. We get jittery as closer to the exam date because we feel like our students are going to take it, so it is tough. So as much as possible, de-emphasize the outcome of this one exam. This doesn't determine what you're about at all. We never tire of saying this, but I think it's still worthwhile repeating it for the 100th time. The 2-hour exam can't determine what you're capable of. Great companies in India worldwide have been built by non-MBAs, and MBAs are good at managing entities, not necessarily creating brilliant ventures. And so don't make this one identity thing what it means to be you. It is not. And so as much as possible, stay away from that. Towards the end, find your go-to places that you can switch off really well from. For some of my students, it has been music. For some, it has been sport. For some, it has been watching sport. For some, it has been watching sitcoms. For them, some it has been video games. For some, it has been watching thrillers, speaking to friends, speaking to long-lost friends. Find your place. It can't be all consuming. You can't say, look, oh, I really perks me up to watch a sitcom. So this weekend I'm going to do the first 4 seasons of Big Bang Theory. That doesn't work. But get your hits in measures based on what works for you. Music, sport, watching favorite TV programs, following news, reading, writing, all of these things, reading calendar knobs, reading comic strips, reading asterisks, something that you really enjoyed when you were 12, 13 and not gone back to it. Go back to it, find that some comfort zone. Eat well, sleep well from very early on. You can't suddenly clean up your habits on November 15th. I'm telling you this, I've tried it many years in a row. You can't clean up your habits suddenly in 1 week, so work up to it. Feeling good, feeling healthy, feeling fit, sleeping well, drinking enough water, gently saying this thing, not the be all end all, finding your happy clothes, happy watch, all of those things matter. Find that comfort blanket as much as possible. De-emphasize the result as much as possible. Not be far easier said than done. Obviously, we are not Buddhas. We can't suddenly become geniuses in handling our mind. Not possible. To the extent possible, do that. De-emphasize it as much as possible. A couple of wonderful articles on pressure. I had a very good discussion with one of our students. And I did send it out to him. So I have dug up those articles. I will send across to you guys. Read them. Beautiful reading to just understand what pressure does to the mind and body. I think this CAT preparation phase, again I was discussing with our students, it suddenly gives you insane appreciation of what cricketers and footballers go through. You'll never again scream at a guy on TV and say, "Ye kya choda tu? What dash are you?" Because you've realized that in an exam you did write 7 + 5 is 14. So you'll be like, this happens. And there's no good reason to justify or explain the thought process behind several of mistakes I've done in CAT or mock CAT. Impossible. I don't know why I marked that choice, but I have marked that choice. The evidence is there. And I have no valid reason to mark that choice, but I have done. So pressure does unseemly things to us. Pressure when 1 billion people are watching is probably 7 orders of magnitude higher. So we will
it's
all
like you taking that light walk on you.
So we will all become more empathetic to people who are putting themselves out there. Have fun, don't burn your bridges, don't call people names. Stay friends with your old friends. Enjoy yourself as much as possible in this. Like we'll be here, we'll be around, we'll be doing more sessions on revision and on YouTube. We will be back with a very good video on mock analysis or what should you do for mocks by Wednesday. We have that on our list. We will get that going. Best wishes to all of you. Have fun and enjoy watching the World Cup as well. What do you do?
Oh yeah, sure. All right, folks. All the best. Of course, I mean we'll see. As Rajesh said, we'll see you on YouTube. We'll do many more live sessions. Put your questions and comments. I sometimes I say I'll get back to you and then I don't. But for this one, I will get back. We will get back. So do put your questions. We'll get back to you. But all the best, and yeah, we'll see you soon. Bye.